Hey folks, just sitting here with number one sun, Indigo Phoenix, catching a few of the end of day rays of the sun, getting in our vitamin D. Very peaceful, beautiful day where we are right now. And we're just sitting here chilling, enjoying it, soaking up the energy from nature, the divine energy from the sun, from nature, from the mountains, from the trees, from the oxygen that we breathe. And that's something I want to share with you, that there's a perception of a scarcity of energy in the world. And this guy is an example of someone who's not scarce of energy. He can just go and go and go, moving constantly for hours and hours and hours. No scarcity of energy there. No one's put him in the program yet of there being a scarcity of energy. And there's different types of energy. And the sort of energy I'm talking about is the sort of energy that we can just stand out in nature and look at the sun and look at the trees and look at the mountains and breathe in the air and just go, wow, and we just get uplifted and we just suck in that energy. And then on the flip side, that sort of energy where maybe we walk into a room and we're feeling good and somebody says something derogatory or negative to us, or something that just really kind of pushes our buttons or makes us feel down, and then it kind of saps our energy, and then suddenly we're feeling good, we're feeling energetic, then suddenly boom, it's like we've had the wind taken out of our sails, or the rug taken out from under our feet, or any sort of metaphor you want to use for that one. So it's important to understand the different ways that we can get energy from all around us, from source, and also from the people around us. And that is the reason for much conflict in the world is the perception of a scarcity of energy. And there isn't actually a scarcity of energy, because there's a divine source of energy which is all around, and that is this. When you look out there and you breathe that in, that is, and you open your eyes wide and you really see everything. You really see the mountains, you really see the trees, and you can pick up the energy coming off them, and you can tune into that and take that energy in. But here's what I want to show is the ways that people take energy off other people, because we've all experienced that, right? Once you can see this, once you have an understanding of this and awareness of this, then you'll be able to protect yourself against it and help others also become aware of it as well, so they can maybe stop doing it, or to realize why you feel like lower in energy when you're around somebody, maybe, and how you can change that. Or maybe what you're doing to take other people's energy. That can also be one as well, Sometimes we need to reflect, put the mirror, reflect it at ourselves and see what we're doing. And there's 4 control dramas. And I didn't make this one up myself, or I didn't download this one myself. I first learned this from reading the book, The Celestine Prophecy, many years ago. And lots of different people got different things from reading The Celestine Prophecy. For some people it was just a nice story, and that was pretty much it. But for me, what I got, I've got an ant crawling on me here. Yeah, it was what did it for me. What the biggest thing I got from that book was the 4 control dramas, the 4 ways that we will take energy off another person, or another person will take energy off us, or steal that energy. Here we go. And there's 4 control dramas, and we all have bits of them inside us, but there will be a predominant one inside us. And just maybe me sharing this with you now, you'll see what your predominant control drama is, and you'll see what other people's are. And for some people, they're more evenly spread, and some people are very, very far into one. And people who are really kind of balanced in life and connected don't display much of them at all, but at times in stress can do. So the 4 control dramas. The first one, and this is actually actually it is the worst one, is the poor me, the victim mentality. And the poor me, this is how they take energy off another person. They will basically say, you know, poor me, this is how bad things are for me. You know, this is what you've done to me. They'll try and lay a guilt trip on you, or try and like give you their story of woe, how bad things are for them. And by doing this, we then feel sympathetic for them, and we give them lots of sympathy. And because they feel low on energy, they go into this control drama. If they're feeling high on energy, they wouldn't go into this control drama. But it's because they are low on energy, they go into this control drama of the poor me, because it's all they know how to get energy, because they don't know about the divine source. So what they do, excuse me about that, itchy nose. So what they do is they'll go into that poor me state, and by doing that, what they've learned is when they do that, they get sympathy. So then people will give them sympathy, and by giving them sympathy, that lifts up their energy. But what does it do to the other person? By them giving them sympathy, it takes away their energy. I think there's ants or something crawling all over me. It takes away their energy. So, you know, it's not a win-win, it's a win-lose going into these control dramas. So the poor me is the worst one. It's the one where, poor me, look how bad things are for me. You know, everyone's got it better than me, or look what you've done to me, the guilt trip sort of thing. So then the person feels sorry and guilty and then gives them energy. That's what the poor me is. In my opinion, the worst one. You know, who wants to be a poor me? The second one, which is on the flip side of the poor me, is the intimidator. And the intimidator is basically that. They'll intimidate someone and take their energy that way. We all know people like that. Indigo, you're on camera, fella. Yeah? Indigo wants lots of energy. Lots of attention. And so the intimidator will basically intimidate people by threatening them in various ways, sometimes very subtly. Sometimes it's not a very outward, I'm going to smash you in the face. Sometimes it's a very subtle sort of intimidation. You know, you do this or else. You know, we get this in relationships. You know, if you don't do this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, you know, leave you and take all your money, or take your house, or take the children, or whatever. That's an intimidation. It's a threat, and it takes the person's energy that way. So there is the intimidator, whether it's verbal intimidation or physical intimidation. That is the intimidator. And by taking the other person's energy, they feel low on energy, so then they intimidate somebody else, and then they feel better about themselves, and the other person feels bad. So it's like an invisible, intangible, but it is very tangible because you feel it, but you can't see the energy. Some people may be able to. And then the person takes their energy that way. So that is the intimidator in a nutshell. And intimidators and poor me's can flip from one to the other. If the intimidator doesn't get their way by intimidating, they can actually flip and become a poor me. Or if the poor me, yes they can, and if the poor me isn't getting his energy by being a poor me, they can actually flip and then become an intimidator, right? So I'm sure by listening to this you can actually see where that has happened in different times in your life and different relationships, right? And then the third one is the aloof. The aloof. And this would have been actually my control drama when I realized it when I was younger. That's the one that was most predominant in me, was the aloof one. And the aloof is where you just remain mysterious. Someone will ask you a question, and you'll just go, and you'll be very vague and abstract, and you won't really give the person an answer, so then it makes them want to know more. And so then they'll ask more, and then you become more aloof and skirt round it, and it's actually, it makes you feel better when you do that, and it takes the other person's energy. You know, like you might walk in, you might say, the person might say, oh, what's up? Oh, nothing, you know, and just kind of being secretive and things like that, and going, oh, something amazing happened today, but I'm not telling you, you know, that sort of thing, and then being secretive and things like that, and the other person, well, what is it? And it actually makes, and then the person feels like, you know, they've got something that, you know, that you don't know and they do know it. So that's the aloof one. And that's something that when I suddenly became aware of these, that I was like, God, that's what I used to. Well, that's what I did. You know, was become aloof. Whenever I was low on energy, I'd become aloof, and that would actually take other people's energy. I'd become quiet, and mysterious, and wouldn't give much away if people were asking me about certain things. And you know, And like we said, we all have these control dramas in us, and some of them more predominant than others when we're low on energy. And so then the next one, which is the flip side of the aloof, is the interrogator. And the interrogator is someone who interrogates. They ask, they ask lots, yes. They ask lots of questions, but in a way where it's very piercing, where they're trying to catch the person out, and so they're basically saying, well, why didn't you do it like this? You could have done it like this, and if you would have done it like this, and why didn't you do this? And basically badgering the person, badgering them, and taking their energy that way to a place where they can't answer, or they're always on the back foot running away. So that's really the interrogator, where it's the different to the intimidator, where the intimidator is just shouting. The interrogator is asking kind of like nasty sort of questions, questions to make the person feel bad, or to make them feel less than, or whatever. So that is the interrogator. So that's all four. So once you realize which ones are predominant in you, then you can start to change them. You can start to become aware when you're doing it and go, oh God, I'm actually in one of my control dramas now. Or you can see when other people are doing them, and you can go, they're just in the control drama. They're just low on energy, They're just low on energy. That's why they're doing it. They don't actually mean anything personal to you. They're just low on energy. And that's the only way they know, because that's what they've been programmed, conditioned to understand. That's how they get energy. But the solution to it all is that there is a divine source of energy. That divine source is all around us. It's abundant, and it is infinite, an infinite source. So we don't need to steal energy off each other, off other people. What instead, we can open up to the divine source of energy, and that's in the air we breathe. That is all around us. That is changing our perception, going from a place of gratitude, actually looking for what we can be grateful for, what we can be appreciative for. Instead of looking at the other person and thinking, what they're not doing right, actually look at them and going, well, maybe I could just change my perception and say, what can I appreciate in this person? What can I be grateful for about this person? And that will actually start to that will actually pull in that divine energy and fill you up that way, so then you don't need to steal the other person's energy by going into whatever control drama you may go into. Okay, that is it from me, and that is it from Indigo Phoenix. Until the next time, take care.